all of the costs have gone up dramatically. We don't want tourism for tourism's sake. In 2017, we became the first biosphere certified region in North America.
Welcome to Better Table Shortcast by bettertable.ca, a place where hospitality leaders can listen, learn, and profit faster. I'm your host, Ben Yeger, and we uncover topics around food, sustainability, and diversity with some of the brightest minds in the tourism and hotel industry. Thank you for joining me. I know you're busy, so we go straight to the point to bring you value during what I believe will be some of the most enriching minutes of your day. Today, we are meeting with Ellen Walker-Matthews, CEO of the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association, TOTA. She brings over 40 years of experience in hospitality, travel, and tourism. Get ready to discover why sustainability is key to improve tourism, what certifications are the most helpful, and what are the biggest trends right now. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Bon appétit! Ellen, thank you so much for joining us today. Which land are you joining us from?
I'm joining you from the Silks in the Okanagan Valley. The Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association is here to support the tourism industry in its development, and so certainly building the tourism industry into those shoulder seasons, which is so perfect around culinary because, we used to be known as summer sun and fun destination, which meant that all of our revenue was made between July 1st and August 31st. And if there was any weather that got bad or, any other conditions that affected it, that would even shorten that 45 days. So we really are trying to build out a 210 day season for our region, and the culinary part of that is so important.
I always start with the most challenging question. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food is pasta, which is why I have the chubby cheeks. But yes, pasta and I are very emotionally attached. Olive oil and great cheese. I guess cheese is probably right up there as a reason that I love pasta, so that I have an excuse to eat more cheese.
The Okanagan is recognized as one of the most important and productive agricultural regions in British Columbia. How has the local food production in the Okanagan influenced the development of sustainable tourism practices and the promotion of authentic culinary experiences?
Farm to table was a thing here long before it was sort of farm to table that everybody talks about today. If you go over to the Similkameen Valley, that has been organic growers for decades. It's nothing trendy or new. It has just helped us grow as a region, as a destination.
How many of your members have a food and beverage operation?
We have about 3,500 stakeholders altogether. At least half are somehow related to the culinary industry.
Food costs have been increasing significantly, and Cisco Canada is predicting an average profit margin of 1% in 2024. What would you say are the biggest challenges faced by operators right now?
Certainly the cost to put food on the table for people, the ability to find staff and to pay living wages, all of the costs have gone up dramatically. And, the restaurant industry has not been an industry that has ever been big profit margins. People go out to eat and they think, oh my gosh, look at the price. But it's something that people, chefs and operators do because they love it, because it's in their soul. But it has never been sort of a place that you're going to go and make a lot of money as an owner or an operator. And so these costs and rising costs just absolutely are detrimental to the whole industry. You and I have had long conversations about food waste and all of the things around food security that are so vital. And so I think all of that education to our restaurateurs and our chefs is important as well.
Ellen, TOTA has always been leading the way on sustainability. Could you tell us more about you and what you've accomplished in terms of sustainability in the Okanagan?
That was part of the journey that we started on in 2012, was to change our story, to talk about the Indigenous communities that have been here since time immemorial. Our interior Salish have different traditions and different food ways and different information and history that visitors weren't aware of. And then, of course, talking about the great agriculture in this region. How many little people in the cities believe that this food comes from the store, not from the ground, right? And so coming out here and experiencing some of our partners who've had those opportunities to go right into the farm and pick your cherries or see where the grapes and apples are harvested has been also part of that sustainability journey. In 2010, we started the work, and then we released our first 10-year regional strategy, Embracing Our Potential, in 2012. And it's a Bible. We don't have it on the shelf. It's on everybody's desk, and everybody knows what we're trying to accomplish.
The Biosphere certification is something that is gaining more and more interest among your members. Could you tell us more about the benefits of such a sustainability certification?
As part of our journey, we heard from our members and our stakeholders was we don't want tourism for tourism's sake. We don't want more people coming at the high time doing destructive things. We want the right tourists to come to the right place at the right time. And we would like to bring people here who have that same appreciation for the land, for the experiences that the people who are residents here have. And so as we looked at writing a charter of sustainability, it became evident that there were a few sustainability certifications around the world. We evaluated a number of them and we landed on something from the Responsible Tourism Institute that's called Biosphere. And in 2017, we became the first Biosphere certified region in North America. So we were very excited by that accomplishment. And that certification has to be redone every year. So it's not a one and done. You have to continue to improve. You have to continue to look at the way you're operating and build out a better destination every year as you go forward. We look at the 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, and our stakeholders can focus on the ones that they are ready to start implementing or growing. And so through a process with our team, they work on implementing the SDGs into their business to become a more responsible, sustainable business. Our former chair of the board, Frank Antoine, always talks about the importance of water. Keep your land and your water pristine, because without that, the animals and the people cannot continue. And I think that's such a tremendous lesson that we all need to have.
Tota has recently purchased Better Table certificates for 10 businesses to help them achieve Sustainable Development Goals 12.3, reducing food waste by 50% by 2030. What do you think is the role of online education versus in-person education?
We've learned over the last 3 years that online education can really serve us well. I think we've learned that we can do things efficiently online, and we've all learned how to connect this way. I think there's always room for in-person, and I think that in-person is an important part of education and just socialization of ideas and creativity.
At your Tota Summit in Kamloops, you asked me to come to do an innovative workshop, the Trash Buffet, where we were going through different aspects of food waste in a restaurant operation. What did your stakeholders think about it?
Ben, it was so highly regarded. I mean, we just had unbelievably great comments from it. People learned so much from your program. I think things that they didn't even think about, colors of plates, size of plates, all kinds of aspects of food waste that don't come top of mind. We've never had such outstanding feedback.
In the summer 2023, there was a fire in Kelowna that forced more than 10,000 people to flee. The Okanagan region has been affected by wildfires, impacting most tourism businesses. How do those climate events impact your climate leadership?
For those people who thought it wasn't happening, that's changed most people's minds. This is not just happening in British Columbia. We have a pledge at Tota. It's called the 7 Generations Pledge, again, based on Indigenous principles that what we do today affects 7 generations ahead of us. I think we all need to take responsibility for those generations coming and make sure that they don't look back on us and say, you could have done something differently and you chose not to.
Elaine, you have over 40 years of experience in the hospitality, travel, and tourism industry, starting your career in the hotel industry. What has changed the most in this industry since you first started?
Oh, Ben, I'm an old lady. So much has changed. But, it's funny that you ask, because we were talking about it last week. I was at a conference and I said, I started in sales and my father thought I was selling hotels. I mean, even within the hotel industry, if you said you were in sales, they were like, what? Nobody actually went out and said, please come here. And then we went from sales to marketing and branding and sort of having an image. And then we went from that to revenue management, sort of like every room isn't the same price. When I started, a hotel room was $25 and it was $25 every day of the week. Now it's what's the night, how much business is there, what does it look at, how big is it? It changes all the time. But I think the biggest change and the important change that's happening right now is we don't just say come at all costs. We realize there's a cost to visitation, that residents have to be open and willing to invite visitors to the region. They have to be part of the process of that invitation, and that we have to manage that visitation so that both the resident and the visitor can have the best possible experience. We can't just say, we're marketing, please come anytime you want and do anything you want. That's not going to fly anymore.
The Thompson Okanagan region is rich in indigenous culture, with over 33 indigenous communities. What can a tourism business do related to reconciliation?
Tourism businesses need to make sure that their staff are educated and knowledgeable about the Indigenous history of Canada. It's not pretty, it's not anything that we should be proud of, but we have to understand it in order to move on. You know, there's a saying that says if you don't understand history, you're bound to repeat it. So let's make sure we all understand the true story. The other thing is, if you're going to offer something Indigenous, make sure you have Indigenous employees on your staff to provide that. Authenticity and working with Indigenous communities to make sure that what they want to show and tell and provide is their story to show, tell, and provide, not ours.
Tota is also doing some great work around accessibility. Could you tell us more about that?
I'm getting older. I know that my access challenges are continuing to grow, even though I'm trying hard to stay ahead of it. And you look at the way we've operated as a world, and we have made things quite difficult for mums with strollers, with seniors with walkers or canes. It's about access for people who have challenges or different abilities. We have an accessibility specialist on our team, Sonia Gade, who's a 3-time gold medalist in sit curling. Unbelievable woman. And one of the things that she talks about are stairs. Why do we have stairs? A ramp works for everyone. I think that's one. But just have your building assessed or audited. Sonia goes out in our region and people can make small changes. She often points out is the accessible parking is always close to the door, which is great, but sometimes it's close to a wall by the door. So she's shown me locations where yes, it's close to the door, but she can't get out of her vehicle because the wall doesn't enable her to put her chair out and put herself in it because it's too close to the parking spot. Again, a small fix, easy to do, not expensive.
What other trends do you see in the hospitality and restaurant industry right now?
We live in a much more demanding, authentic world, even though we have this whole AI thing, which is the opposite. And so I think even more so, people are going to want to travel to see the truth, to understand the truth, to learn history, and to experience culture. The other one I want to raise, and I think we're starting to do better at it, and I think we have a long way to go, is food recovery. I think we have a lot of food that's wasted that could be recovered and provided to people who are food insecure. I was, again, just at a conference last week in Ottawa and learning a lot about operations where convention centers and hockey arenas are starting to be able to package leftover foods in ways that are secure and food safe and provide them to people where before that was never allowed. And I think that's something we really have to work on. Less going into the garbage and more going into hungry tummies. I think that's a big trend that people will respect your business for doing and respect you for looking at those opportunities.
What's your food waste hack?
I put a lot of things into like a soup pot. So my hack is instead of it going in the garbage, get it into a broth, get it into something that's going to make a better soup, a better gravy. So I think my hack is throwing everything into a pot. I also have to say we bought a food saver about 10 years ago now, I guess. And we give them to everybody for gifts because you can save food in the freezer for a long time if all that air is out of it. If there's ever an apocalyptic moment, come to my house because we'll be able to feed the masses. But we're very good at making sure, you know, in the middle of winter, if you come up from work and you want a good hearty chili, I've got some in the freezer and it'll be fresh as it was the day I made it.
What's your favorite book or podcast?
The Fourth Turning is Now. It's by Neil Howe. They look back at 500 years of history and how we repeat and repeat and repeat, whether it's pandemic followed by excess spending, followed by economic crash, followed by war. A lot of the things that we're experiencing in the world is predictable and will change with the right behavior. So right now it is my favorite book.
What would be the key takeaway you'd like our listeners to remember?
It is so important that we spend time in other communities with other cultures and understanding each other. So we need to find ways to do it that creates the least harm.
I have been so inspired by Hélène. I'm so excited for you to learn from other leaders, and I hope to see you next time. Better Table Shortcast is brought to you by bettertable.ca. We help hotels and restaurants control food costs and increase food and beverage profits. Thank you so much for listening. Want to learn more about why food waste prevention should be your top sustainability initiative? Check out our free ebook at bettertable.ca/ebook. That's better, B-E-T-T-E-R, table, T-A-B-L-E, bettertable.ca/ebook, and get instant access. If you love the show, please leave us a review. We are so proud to bring you curated insights to help the tourism and hospitality industry thrive. The best compliment you can give us is by screenshotting today's show and tagging us on LinkedIn at bettertable.ca and at Ben Liéger. We are obsessed with swags, so don't be surprised if you want to send you some. And remember, nothing bad happens when hospitality leaders make more money.